Hello everybody and welcome to The Upset. Today we're breaking down whether playing college sports is really the right choice these days. Then in our debate segment, we debate the greatest college athlete of all time. All this and more on this week's episode of The Upset.
Pull up! Got it! She got it! She got it!
Make up for it, fires to the end zone, touchdown! Alabama wins!
Step back, Walker, Cardiac, Kimba, does it again, UConn!
Right back there, hold on! Walker wins! Walker wins!
Hello everybody and welcome to The Upset. I'm joined today by Tim O'Sullivan, John Newton, and Sam Knox. Gentlemen, we have our first question on the board. If you were a rising athlete, which John Newton basically is, would you prefer to play college sports or play overseas?
Oh.
John, I'll let you start off.
First of all, it's important to take every individual as an individual and treat them on a case-by-case basis. Because we don't know necessarily each athlete's situation financially, career goals beyond sports, and including sports. So for some people, NCAA might be a phenomenal option, and some people might want money immediately as soon as they finish up from high school. Now, they may be getting it under the table right now anyway, but it's beside the point. The NBA G League last year released a new option for players starting very soon, select contracts, $125,000 contracts for the entire season for those players not NBA eligible. NBA requires athletes to be 19 years of age or older, but this is a good option for maybe 17 or 18-year-olds that finish high school a little bit early. They will lose NCAA eligibility, of course, but they're already directly affiliated with an NBA team because every G League franchise is affiliated with an NBA team.
Yeah, I like that point, and it has improved. You know, the whole G League process, but I would go with the NCAA. I would get an education, go to school and play the sport.
Well, I don't know if there is much education going on.
That's true.
Kids.
That's true. But I mean,
know.
you go to college, or your professional career is not usually very long. I mean, unless you're a stellar all-star, you know, a Hall of Famer, you make your living and you're done. You have all your money. That's great. But you go to school. Yeah, I mean, usually you go to school, you get that degree, because when you're done with professional athletics, you know, odds are you're not going to make it as far as you would have liked to.
Yeah.
So you get that degree, and then what comes after if you don't make it? You know, you have the degree to fall back on. If you don't, you have nothing to fall back on. Maybe that's just how I was raised, but that's just how I look at it. You go to school, you still pursue that career in athletics. If you make it, that's great. If you continue, that's awesome. But I think just risking straight out of high school is a little too risky. And I think that getting your education is very important. Even if it's not in education, you get the degree and you're able to move forward in life.
Well, we talked about the G League, talked a little bit about the NCAA. I want to talk about the JBA from LeVar Ball, big baller himself. Let me tell you, the JBA is something that a lot of people took for a joke. For some reason, I don't know why, even though the JBA is a great idea. Well, you have to understand, when the regular season of the JBA hit, there were questions of the competition. Like, how good are these guys? We really don't know what their backgrounds. Yeah, they were some four-star recruits, three-star recruits from high school, but you have LaMelo Ball averaging a triple-double with 40 points. I mean,
Conflict of interest.
How much can you tell about the competition in the JBA? Fair enough. The regular season, fair. I can't argue that. What I can argue is the international tour for the JBA was unreal for these players. What they got was an experience of traveling all of Europe, some of Asia, and playing top teams from around overseas. I mean, we know the competition now because they played the London Lions. They end up playing teams in Lithuania, Belgium, Germany. I mean, they're everywhere in Europe, and they're still getting the experience that they would get playing basketball in the G League
And exposure,
while
too.
traveling. They're still getting the exposure because it's LeVar Ball. Everyone wants to know about LeVar Ball. Everyone wants to know about the Ball boys. And then
His father.
Well,
They want to buy his swag, too.
we'll get into that later. But I mean,
Marketing.
the basis of the JBA is to bring these kids out, to give them the experience of a professional basketball player, and to hopefully propel them to become professional basketball players. Because at the end of the day, that's what they're trying to do with their lives, right? So why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to make that money while being able to travel all of Europe. I don't know who would refuse that.
Now, I like to take a little bit of liberty with the question, so I'm just going to bend this a little bit. I'm going to talk about the Alliance of American Football, okay? Now, currently as it's set up, you basically take people that were not good enough to make the National Football League, and you give them their own league in which they have a chance to maybe make it one day. What this should have been marketed as is an alternative to college, much like the JBA and much like playing in Europe. You go out there, they're not paying them much. I believe they're paying them like $50,000, $60,000, but you know, for a sport like football where the pros has a 3-year wait period after high school, for such a physical sport like football, it's quite frankly a little bit crazy that we're not allowing these people to make any money while they are risking their lives.
That's a very good point.
Or risking their careers or risking whatever else. So, you know, are they going to get, you know, a Kyler Murray type or a Trevor Lawrence type to go out for the AAF? Absolutely not. But these people who are, you know, guys who are late round draft picks, you know, whatever else, who are from, you know, tougher areas that, you know, you kind of need the money right away, I think that they would have been very successful and could have gotten at least a handful of big names and future NFL talent to go out for it.
And I'm glad they have something like that now. You know, they don't have any minor league football.
That's
Like
correct.
this adds a great, it's like another G League for football. You know, it adds another aspect
Except
of.
it's not directly affiliated. That's the issue.
Right,
Correct.
right. But it's similar to it, but it gives guys another chance. You know, it's not like you make it or you don't. You know, you got a shot.
Let's talk about the changes in rules between the AAF and then the NFL. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen some of these hits that the guys are putting out in the AAF, but they are ridiculous. Like, guys are getting murdered on the field. I mean, is that more entertaining to watch? Does that bring more viewers in because you're seeing guys get mauled on the field?
Well, I think what's interesting
like,
is we've seen, you know, examples of this before. There's been the XFL that competes with the NFL.
Yep.
There's been the ABA that competes with the NBA. There's been, you know, the WHA that competes with the NHL. I could go on all day, but I'm not going to. The point I'm getting at is so often when there are these two competing leagues, they end up, you know, not merging always per se, but they kind of share rules a little bit, right?
Exactly.
So the WHA came in against the NHL, and they started recruiting these European guys, saying, hey, these guys aren't bad. And just like that, we have, you know, Finland, Sweden are hockey hubs now that are, you know, feeding people into the NHL.
Yep.
So I think that the rules might differ a little bit, and for some places, that's the better, you know? Maybe it'll end up changing the game at the college level, the pro level, and every other level.
Right.
Every league that we mentioned, before we address the AAF point, every league that we mentioned needs to put a little bit more focus on player development. That's what's going to change the game for each of these organizations. When you have a young kid, let's say 17 or 18, come in and actually develop and reach a new level as an athlete and as a person, then you get someone who can become a better professional.
Yep.
It might not need to be the NCAA system anymore. You can become a very successful business person in almost any industry without going to college. Now, some, like law, for example, you're required to have some sort of formal education after graduating high school. But when you look at these leagues, like Tim mentioned, the larger leagues and let's say the older, more established leagues always learn something from these young up-and-coming leagues. The AAF has thrown out some pretty nifty rule changes that are actually enhancing the viewing experience for a sport of American football that's already so great for television. The NFL, within a few years, will take some of these rules that the AAF has implemented and put them into the NFL rulebook. Write it down, and it'll be broken news in a few years from now.
And going back to your point about if the AAF, or if the AAF, the big hits will draw more viewers, I think that it will draw more because that's what the fans want. They want to see the big hits. They want to see guys get clobbered. And to be honest with you, NFL football is turning into less of football, and it's you can't.
A little soft.
Well,
soft.
The sport in general is just a murder show.
Do you remember the end of the Rams-Saints NFC Championship game? And that very controversial finish there.
Vaguely.
Yeah, but you touch a quarterback and, it's flag.
Maybe we can get to the
Flag.
rough of the passer, Clay Matthews stuff a little bit later on. But
Awful.
That would not have happened in the AAF because of the replay review system they have in place.
It's not even
It's
football
not the
anymore.
on-field official taking a look at it. They've actually taken a page out of rugby and Australian football and other sports where you actually have someone in the booth dedicated to the replay, and it's not just the on-field official making the decisions.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we debate the greatest player in college sports history. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to The Upset. Well, it is time for the newest edition of our debate segment. A quick reminder of the rules. Each of these gentlemen will have exactly 45 seconds to make their opening arguments. They will then have 4 minutes to debate before making their 30-second closing statements. At the end of the debate, I will declare a winner, and we're going to keep track of wins throughout the season to have an epic punishment and prize for the winner and loser. Today, we're going to be debating the greatest college sports athlete of all time. Tim, since you won last week, you're going to be going first.
Well, thank you, Angel. I will go first, and I will be starting with someone who, without injury, could have been considered the greatest athlete of all time. I, of course, am talking about Mr. Bo Jackson. I'll take a minute, read through his laundry list of NCAA achievements. He was 2 times consensus All-American for football, meaning every single person voted for him. 3-time first-team All-SEC. He had an NCAA record 6.6 yards per carry. He was the Walter Camp Award winner, the Heisman Award winner. Now, he also played baseball. MLB scouts, based on his college performance, said that he would have been an all-time great, of course, barring injury. And he was sabotaged by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Had he not done that, he could have improved on his .338 batting average at Auburn, .466 on-base percentage. Truly great numbers in both sports.
All right. Sam, let's
All
hear
right,
it.
I'm going to go with UCLA's Lou Alcindor, known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. What he accomplished in his 3 years at UCLA, I've never seen before. 3-time NCAA champion, national champion.
3 straight.
3 straight. 3-time NCAA All-Tournament team, 3-time NCAA All-Region, 3-time NCAA tourney most outstanding player, all 3 years, and 3 national championships. I don't know how you can get better than that. I mean, 26.4 points per game, 15 to 16 total rebounds a game. I just think I think it's clear cut. I think he's the guy. 3 national championships.
John Newton, let's hear it.
Not only did we have to come up with who is the greatest college player of all time, we had to talk about someone who was a phenomenal college athlete, but then actually did something with their professional careers. And who did better of both than a man with 13 championship rings, Bill Russell. People say he has 11 rings. He has 11 just in the NBA and 2 as a player coach.
Well,
He has 2 at the University of San Francisco, averaged 20 and 20, and he's an absolute champion, ended his college career on a 55-game win streak. And by the way, before he started his NBA career, also won an Olympic gold medal just after his senior season. Amazing, outstanding, one of fewer than 10 basketball players to win at the Olympic, collegiate, and professional level.
oh, he timed it well. So far, I'm leaning towards Bo Jackson.
Thank you.
See if that will change. Let's go 4 minutes of debate. Let's hear it.
Well, I want to start off the debate segment with a question for my boy Sam. All right, 3 national championships is no doubt impressive. However, his coach was all-time great John Wooden. He was not doing this alone. I know sports generally are not alone, but he had help in, again, what many consider the greatest college coach of all time. What do you have to say about
He's
this?
a pretty good coach. Very good coach.
He couldn't help
They say that.
right?
Elite coach.
That's a secondary factor, and I know that a coach matters a lot, but he also won. He was also 3-time tourney, like I said, he has all these accolades of most outstanding player, all tournament
Well,
team.
That's right.
Hold on.
That's right.
I'm going to say
So-
exactly what John Newton's about to say to you.
No, you're not.
If you're going to argue wins, Bill Russell has you beat by a long way.
I was going to argue something else too. I can
Do
take
it
that a
then.
step further.
Do
Talk
it.
about UCLA. He's one of the greatest coaches ever, right?
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Would you take the man at his word for something that he said?
Who? Yes.
John Wooden.
Oh, yeah, of course.
John Wooden said Bill Russell was one of the greatest defensive players he's ever seen. Maybe
That's a dagger.
the greatest defensive
That's
player
a
he's ever
dagger.
seen. UCLA coach John Wooden, the coach of Al Sindor, your UCLA guy, called Bill Russell the greatest defensive player he'd ever seen. Defensive.
That's a
Out-rebounded
dagger.
your guy. Didn't outscore your guy. Out-rebounded your guy. We have a professor here, Michael Brown, very good professor. He said it's the greatest basketball player he's ever seen. That's a professor telling us that.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I'm just saying.
First,
It-
luckily-
it is well documented how great this man was.
Luckily, I imagine John Wooden did not say anything about Bo Jackson. But we're talking not best basketball player, not best at their craft, not most winning, not even professional career, because this is a college show. We're talking most athletic, okay? Bo Jackson was a star. He was he
What you're trying
could
to say
have
is a
been
multi-sport athlete. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying he was so much
athlete.
more than a multi-sport athlete. He was the best at one sport and pretty damn close to it in a second
Bill
sport.
Russell's the exact same. He was the absolute best in collegiate basketball, and
What was
believe
the
it or
other one?
not, you want to hear what the other one was? Because he just finished his collegiate career but did not start his pro career, they thought about maybe banning him from the Olympic Games because he signed a professional contract, but he had not started his career as a professional. If he did not get to play basketball at the Olympic Games, by the way, gold medalist, led the team in scoring in the Melbourne Games, he would have actually qualified for the Olympic high jump and earned a diploma as a top 8. Believe it or not.
But did he?
well,
Because he played basketball
Right.
in the Olympic Games and won a gold medal.
We're not
When they-
talking hypotheticals.
No. We're talking. No, he would have. Whoever won that Olympic Games high jump, he tied that man in a meet that season. Believe it or not. So he was on par with the man that actually won the Olympic gold medal at the Melbourne Games in the high jump. And this is a big unit we're talking about, Bill Russell.
And
6'9".
We're also comparing different sports, okay?
Yes, we are, and we have to talk about it.
At the time of Bo Jackson, every American kid was growing up playing baseball. No American kid in Bill Russell's childhood was growing up dreaming about being the high jump champion. The field,
This is
And he
true.
could have done
talent.
both. It doesn't matter what the kids were dreaming about. It's a matter of execution and
I
excellence.
mean, the
Well,
field is so much smaller.
His point.
I mean, we
pool
don't know.
of
I've
So we're
never
gonna
high
ignore
jumped.
his
I could be
basketball
the
career?
highest jumper in the world.
He's
We don't
also a
know.
multi-sport
That's just
athlete.
false.
What
That's
I'm
just
trying to
false.
say is that he's a multi-sport
Just wrong.
athlete, just like your guy, and my guy did it on the Olympic stage and could have done it on the Olympic stage in 2 sports.
He could have, but he didn't, right?
He did it because he was leading the U.S. in an absolute
I need
slaughter
you
of
to-
the Soviet
I need you
Union.
to fight back here. Give me something.
It's hard.
Yeah,
but
we're jumping.
how many national championships did Bo Jackson win?
To my knowledge, none.
None. How many did Bill Russell win?
2.
Okay, still less than 3.
Yeah, and guess what? He had more, and he still out-rebounded your guy, and your coach said my guy was the best defensive player he's ever seen.
3 is more than 2.
It is, and then what happened? And then did you have a 55-game win streak in the collegiate career?
Question.
Yes.
How
go ahead.
many years did Bill
What
Russell
did
play
Bill
in
Russell
college?
average in college?
20 and 20.
20 and 20. What did
26 and 16.
Out-rebounded him, best defensive players ever seen. It's not all about scoring. You
It
want to say
isn't.
6 more points a game. His game as a center, we got to remember this, as a center, getting the boards, hauling them in, it takes a lot of athleticism to get rebounds, and rebounds has always and maybe will always be underrated.
3, 2. We'll cut it short.
11 rings, baby, 13 rings.
All right.
You got to talk about sport career 2, Hall of Famer,
don't.
collegiate
This
and
is college.
professional.
Hey, it's over. It's over. The debate segment is over.
Hall
We're
of
going to go
Famer.
for the closing statements now. 30 seconds. Tim O'Sullivan on the clock. Go.
Well, like I said I could sit here and talk all day until I'm blue in the face about Bo Jackson's college achievements, all right? This man, he might not have won a national championship, but football is 11 on 11 plus 11 for the defensive side. It is not an individual sport quite like basketball is. If it was 5 on 5, I heartily believe Bo Jackson would have led Auburn to the promised land more than once. However, that's just not the reality. So it is for the reason that he was a multi-sport athlete, not a basketball player, not a football player, athlete, more than one sport, that I'm going with Bo Jackson.
All right. Sam?
So it is. I know it's based off of just 3 years and 3. It's all about winning here, but that's what I went with. So 3-time national champion. I just won more championships in college, right, than both of the other arguments here, and I don't think it was just all about his coach, even though it may have played a factor. I just think he was a great athlete, obviously continued that into the NBA, and had a great overall career.
All right. John Newton?
Bill Russell, one of the winningest players in sports history, 11 NBA championships, 5-time Hall of Famer, Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer, Collegiate Hall of Famer, UCLA basketball coach said he was the greatest defensive player he's ever seen, and Tim O'Sullivan is just talking about hypotheticals of what could have been for Bo Jackson. Not only that, Bill Russell was a multi-sport athlete. He did it in both. He proved himself in the high jump, proved himself on the basketball court. And Sam Knox, man, it's got to be sorry when the guy you picked says another guy was better than you, even though he won more championships in college. Bill Russell's a winner, and he always will be. What a champion.
This is tough. This is like all three good arguments. I mean, what I will say is Bo Jackson, if we're looking at pure athleticism, Bo Jackson has it by a long shot. Guy is just a beast of a human being. Sam, he had the winner. I mean, the winning player. What is it right here? You have it right here. Three-time NCAA champion, three-time NCAA All-Tourney. I mean, come on now, he's a winner. And then we have Bill Russell. The only thing I would say is part of your argument was in his professional career.
And even if you ignore that, still remarkable resume. Remarkable. Even if you ignore that professional.
Enough to beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I'm not sure.
He didn't say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He said Lou Alcindor.
Oh my goodness gracious! What are we doing here? All right.
He didn't even say
the
Kareem.
winner.
It's the same.
The winner is Samuel Knox.
Oh, thank you so much.
The winner is Samuel
This
Knox.
is rigged. This is actually rigged.
No, it is not. And let me tell you why.
Going out with a bang, isn't he?
I personally love winners. And when I asked you how much Bill Russell averaged in college, it was because I wanted to see if there was a huge gap between the two. And there really wasn't. He's only averaging 4 less rebounds than Bill Russell and 6.5 more points. So really, the entire offense is running through him for 3 years. He's winning every single year. How do you not go with a winner for the greatest college athlete of all time? I don't know.
We'll talk about it off air. Because I can't use those words on air.
We won't. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today. On behalf of Tim O'Sullivan, John Newton, and for the final time this season, Sam Knox. I'm Angel Salcedo. Have a great night.